Hey there, welcome. It's me, Jaymz Bee, and it's Friday, so here we go again. Some listings, some things you can do this week. I know it's winding down, end of summer, and maybe there's a few less concerts than usual, but there are good ones. So if you want to go out tonight, here's a few ideas. First of all, at Old Mill Toronto, Red Schwager and Don Thompson. Two virtuosos, they're best pals, played together for decades, and they're going to make beautiful music at the Home Smith Bar, 7:30 to 10:30, no cover. Plenty of parking and not very expensive. It's also right beside Old Mill subway station, so easy to get to. And on Saturday, Red Schwager hangs out with his guitar, and he's joining the Barry Elms Quartet. The drummer and great composer Barry Elms has some of his buddies joining him, including Reg. Bassist Neil Swainson and Mike Murley on sax. It's going to be amazing all weekend over there, Friday or Saturday, Home Smith Bar, and go to oldmilltoronto.com for more information. Hughes Room Live, now they're closed until Monday, till September 3rd. Robbie Botosh is going to be performing, so you'll want to get tickets right away for that. And it's the Toronto Undergraduate Jazz Festival. So there will be a young up-and-coming band as well as Robbie on that date. And on Thursday the 5th, Johnny Cash Tribute. Gotta love that. Also at Hughes Room Live next week, a week from tonight, Friday, Alfie Zappacosta is in town. He is a fabulous singer-songwriter, a lot of ballads. In fact, he wrote a ballad for Dirty Dancing that probably made him a few bucks. The movie Dirty Dancing. Also, he wrote for Loverboy when he's not doing his own stuff. So fascinating stuff at hughesroomlive.com. Jazz Bistro tonight and tomorrow, the Steve Coven Trio. The trio are fantastic. Steve Coven is a wonderful composer, but more than that, he's a showman. Very rarely will you see a piano player this exciting, and I trust they'll be tuning the piano every day because he really works out on that piano. What else is happening? Oh, on Wednesday, September 4th, there's Girls' Night Out. Lisa Particelli hosts an open mic where men can sing too. It's with a live band, and it's always fun over there. Jazzbistro.ca, and finally at Lula.ca, they have Havana Club Friday. They always have that. And this time it's Vosvani and the Cuban Swag. I wonder what the Cuban Swag sound like. Something tells me they're Cuban and they have a little swag. Okay, that's all I got. Also coming up, Salsa Saturday. They have Cafe Cubano on Friday and Sondaki on Saturday. So always dancing, always great music at Lula Lounge. September 5th on Thursday, it's a Patsy Cline tribute. Laura Hubert will be there. Danny Marks, Lily Frost, Catherine Rose, Andrea Cozio, so many great singers. And it's an all-star band including Steve Briggs and Nicole Robertson on guitars. So, man, if you're a fan of Patsy Cline, you've got to see this. They've been doing it for ages, and it's always great. Now, the X is on this weekend. This is the final weekend. I guess there's going to be an air show. I have mixed feelings about that, but kind of gives me a headache. But the X, there are 4 stages with live bands, and I'm not going to recommend any of them because I don't know anybody playing at the X. I saw Jay Douglas there last week. It was fantastic, but I don't know who books over there, but I don't know anybody. I think they're all tribute bands. Anyway, before I get to my special guest, who is Tom Treumuth. He's a big record executive guy, but he's one of those guys that everybody likes. Just a sweet guy with a crazy story. So we're going to talk to him about all things Estonian and Canadian music business in general. But before that, I just want to quickly thank Barbarian Steakhouse at 7 Elm Street. They are a sponsor of this. And Paul Barber and barberfinancial.com. If you have financial needs, if you're thinking about maybe you want to invest or maybe you have needs for your staff, if you own a company, he does things big and small. Captain Paul, barberfinancial.com or .ca. And I want to thank everyone at Patreon who has been donating to this. I know it's a weird thing to do, but it's working these days. $5 a month and you'd be helping me out in a big way. Some people do $50 a month. It's wonderful. It just means that somebody out there cares, and I appreciate it. So we're going to go now to Tom Treumuth and find out all about the music business. Let's go now. Hey, Tommy.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man.
You're supposed to ask me how am I doing.
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking at you with your glasses right now, and your glasses are green.
They are, and nobody else that I've seen, at least males over a certain age, wear these kind of glasses, except me. I'm trying to stick out. That's how it's working.
Yeah, because you look like a very hot librarian if you were a young girl. Okay, never mind.
Thank you.
Never mind.
I wasn't looking for that.
So tell me about your humble beginnings. I love to ask this question.
Yes.
Your love of music. When did it start?
Okay, my love of music started when my parents, who immigrated from the Soviet Union, who are Estonian, came over here, and being the only child, they forced me to play piano because they wanted me to be something in life. So, of course, I hated it, and then I realized later on that when I became a teenager that I became a huge fan of prog rock at 13, 14, and there I am in front of the mirror pretending I'm John Lord from Deep Purple, or better still, Keith Emerson from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, because I wanted to be somebody that rocks my organ and puts it on fire, and I did later on, a few years later. So that's sort of my humble beginnings, with my parents pushing me into music and being there for me. And then, of course, after that, then my whole other stories unravel from that. But that was my beginning.
Right. And so you made a record, with that 70s or 80s?
Well, the record I made, believe it or not, was the world's first digital recording. It's a true fact. At Nimbus 9 with Jack Richardson, and I forced my way on him with my other friend Gary Furness to allow us to co-produce this record because I wanted to get started in the business. And of course, finally he relented, and the story that leads up to that is I went to Fanshawe College, which was the first school in the world for music production and engineering. And Gary and I left 2 weeks before we get our diploma. You know why? Because Jack and Bob Ezrin, we pounded on their door for months in advance, and the 2 weeks before we get our diploma, they said, "Come on down and sit in with Peter Gabriel. I'm doing Peter Gabriel's solo album." So we have no contract. The diploma,
right.
till this day. And we've been pretty successful. Gary's the head of Sony Music Publishing for the last 18 years, and we both laugh about it all the time. We left to sit in, and that changed my life. Sitting in with the Peter Gabriel session and watching him with a light bulb on, with him shaved his head, which nobody knew at that time. He'd done that, and he's sitting there out there in the darkness. That changed my life.
Wow.
So there's a defining moment for me. And then I had to be a producer. In other words, that's what I wanted to do. Can I make money doing this? I said to Jack, and he goes, "Yeah, if you get good at it." So that was my beginning.
Wow. Now you were there to watch and
observe
how they make the record and what they do.
Correct. And Bob Ezrin was, of course, hey, that's shit and this and that. And I mean, he, to this day, he took a different approach than most people, but again, my personality being what it is, I'm pretty outgoing, as with people that know me. Mm-hmm. I felt that was perfect to be a producer, and then I ended up going that route later on.
And you took the kinder, gentler way of producing, where you encourage people to do things and you're having a great time, but you don't usually yell and throw things.
No, I wouldn't say that. And I wasn't. Who's the guy who pulled the gun in L.A.? I was in jail right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, that was not my style at all. No. I don't think I've ever thrown anything.
Right. So you were doing this record, and was that record called Treumuth?
It was called Treumuth, based on my last name, Tom Treumuth.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody came up with it, and I said, okay, let's roll with it. Came out around the world, and true story, we were going to be called The Next Yes, which was my the band that we were emulating, sort of. And then the head honcho in New York said, "I don't hear a single," and the whole thing fizzled out. And I cried for about 2 years after, because we came this close.
Yeah,
it was so close.
Yeah.
I still get pains now and chills when I think about how close we were, because that would have been another change in my life. I would have hit the road, and probably who knows what would have happened. Maybe I would have been the new Rick Wakeman, or.
Yeah, so it was your love of prog rock was strong.
I love prog rock, that's right. Yeah, and of course,
probably why you weren't afraid of the Look people when I worked with you back in the day.
No, I was maybe one of the few that understood it. When I first listened to it, everybody thought, "Oh, Tom, are you okay? Like, what are you on?"
This is like a rock circus.
This is one of my favorite expressions. People would say, they're like from another planet. I go, that's great. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But it was hard convincing people, as you know. When you guys would show up at a gig, and I think I still remember, I think great Bob Scott showed up with, I think he was in his diapers, he was trying to be Baby Huey or somebody. Yeah. And I think there was an A&R guy there, and of course he stands up, takes his diaper off, and did a moon, to the A&R guy. And I think the A&R guy walked out that second. It was just too over the top. Of course, today that's nothing, There
was a lot of you worked on a lot of showcases where people flew up from New York to see the band.
That's right.
And this isn't all going to be about Look people, but I do want to mention something funny. I met you for the very first time in the south of France at a music convention.
We did. As a matter of fact, isn't that ironic? I would actually go there every year to meet people, and that would be like, wow, you're Canadian. Why don't I know you? You live in Toronto. And that started happening more and more. People were going there to meet each other that are from the same city. So, and it worked. We got to know each other. I signed other acts from there that were hanging out. So till this day, the networking thing for me is what also changed my life, because I would go there every year, somehow put together the money, and of course the government chipped in, a little bit here and there. And
let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah,
now,
sure.
In Canada, this is something different that people in the U.S. watching won't understand.
Right.
In Canada, you really can get funding or grants or even just loans from Factor, from Ontario Arts Council, Canada Council, all different places.
Yes, as a
How
matter
did-
of
how did
fact,
that
very
work for you?
few. Well, to me, it's. I don't think I would have had a label. I started a label as well, by the way, and I had a lot of help from funding. I think I ended up releasing about 100 albums over my Hypntoic Records days, my label, and a lot of those were, funding from Factor or whatever. I'd get matching funds. You put in 10. They would give you 10, that kind of stuff. And it still goes on today. I mean,
Figgy Duff from Newfoundland.
Figgy Duff's another one. Yeah, I
Like, I'm
managed
thinking
them and
about,
produced
there
them,
were
yeah.
places across Canada, bands from all over.
Absolutely. No, I did all sorts of really interesting stuff. Anvil, who ended up people laughing at me, and then they had a documentary produced in Hollywood that hit the screens and went crazy, and they were famous for 15 minutes around the world. That
Right.
was me. I put all those deals together. I'm in their book.
That's hilarious.
With big thanks
Anvil
for-
was a great documentary.
It was a great document. So that's another one. And that Big Sugar's another one that I discovered Gordy playing in a bar in Queen. I think there was 3 people in the room. I said, "You got it." Next thing you know, I did 3 albums of Big Sugar, and they took off. So that was another nice score for me, and something I'm very proud of.
So did the label and the studio come at the same time? What
well, I'll
you're
tell you-
playing for Gabriel, you record an album, then
Well,
you
here's-
decide I'm going to start a label.
I skipped one little part, that when I became a producer, I ended up producing this band Honeymoon Suite, and it won the Q107 contest. And I had no experience at all, and Bob Roper said, "We got to get the producer who just did that song in his basement." That was me. I had no experience. I produced the album. Until this day, it's the biggest album I ever produced. It sold 500,000 copies and had five top 10 hits that still get airplay. Like, you can turn the radio on right now and you'll hear probably New Girl Now, or one of the songs.
And it was a basement recording.
And then I did a Helix record, which was a hard rock band, and I did those at the same time. And both of the albums hit the Billboard charts at the same week in the top 30. So I got a call from the head of RCA, said, "Who are you? I want to sign you and give you your own production company. Fly down here immediately." And I ended up being there for 5 years, and I started a relationship with Gene Simmons, where he was calling me every day on the phone because he was executive producing one of the albums. He'd call me every day, "Tom, read me those lyrics again." Again, and Gary and I were writing a lot of this album. The band was called Gypsy Rose. So for 2 years straight, Gene would call us up and talk about lyrics, no music, and then he invited us down to his house. And we sat in the front row at all their shows. And to this day, him and Paul Stanley taught me a lot. Just
Wow.
about business, and you know how smart they are when it comes to merchandising. They're kings.
Yeah, that's
Nobody
for sure.
beats them. So
Yeah.
so that was another learning curve for me, just hanging out with them for a few years.
Right on.
So fun times.
And so all that production, then you moved back to Toronto?
Yeah, I was back in Toronto, and I started a studio on Spadina, where I had bands like Blue Rodeo coming there and all sorts of great stuff. And
Was that the 60s Spadina? It was
It
at
was,
the same building
80
that Hypntoic stayed in?
Yes, and we had the best view probably in Toronto in the penthouse there. And,
Right, 80 Spadina. Yeah,
80
it was-
Spadina,
yeah,
that's
80
right.
Spadina.
Yeah, that was like amazing. I mean, that would be like $10,000 a month now. That view.
I know.
Crazy good.
I know. I even have a photo of that view out that
Yes.
window, and there was way less skyscrapers, so you could see the CN Tower completely.
You
Yeah.
could. No, that was great times.
Okay, and then after, so Hypntoic, 20 years of making records.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I said, I probably released around 100 albums because I did a lot of licensing deals too. I brought in acts from around the world and put them out here. And then that sort of segued into
Yeah, then the music business tanked, and you decided to go.
yeah,
a little
when
differently.
I had people coming to use the studio and just do the drums and then go to their basement and finish it, I looked at my partners and I said, I think it's time for us to get out now.
Yeah.
And the big tape machines which were $30,000. I think I sold mine for $7,000 at that time. I took a huge bath on that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But I had no choice.
You
I had to
saw
get out.
it coming.
I saw it coming. I
Yeah.
had to get out. And then I switched to, I went into wanting to book live acts because it was one of the few things I had never done. And I thought, well, how hard can this be? I'm sitting on the phone. You want to book my act, So I did that, and I'm still doing that. So that's really enjoyable because, let's face it, the live situation now is where it's at.
Right, and it will
You know,
never end because people need to get out of the house.
No, if
Yeah.
anything, it's gotten way, way better even. It just keeps going and going because people want to go out of their house and see something live.
So now you're acting more as an agent than a label. Are you still writing music?
it's funny you should ask because I just dusted off my Fender Rhodes and I'm probably going to go back just for fun, you know. And I've sort of stayed away from production now because I'm really focusing on something called the Estonian Music Week, which is the
segue I was going to bring us to. That's
nice
hilarious
segue.
because you're doing bookings. You've already done international record deals. You've got contacts.
Yep.
So now you've gone kind of back to your roots. And so
I
now
kinda have.
taking Estonian music and
Yes.
bringing it to Canada.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the quick story on that. Because the Estonian community is fairly small here, I was going to say maybe 20,000 people, all the greater Toronto area, maybe 15 to 20. They approached me and said, hey, you know, we're doing this big anniversary for the 100th anniversary of Estonia. Would you be interested in running the music? And we need some help. So I said, sure, if you want to bring me in as artistic director and give me control over certain aspects of the groups and everything, yeah, let's try it out. Of course, it worked so well that we did 6 nights of concerts all around town, including the culmination of the final show at Kerner Hall, which was just about sold out, just about 100 shy of a sellout.
So you got 1,000 people at the Kerner Hall to see Estonian music.
We did, and we had Hughes Room sold out, and Lula Lounge, and these other events. So everybody then said, well, where do we go from here? And I said, well, now we got to do something different, but continue it. So a friend of mine and I sat down after and said, how can we improve this and make this even bigger? So we came up with we're adding a tech component this year. So there's going to be tech conferences during the day with Estonian companies coming and some from other parts of the world.
I have friends that are computer nerds, and they have told me that Estonians are famous for this.
It's number one in the world.
I didn't know that.
We're the number one digitally plugged-in country in the world currently, by far. Like, you can do your taxes in like a minute. Like, just like this. You type it in and it's done. All the doctor's records are all been computerized for years. If you walked into a doctor's office recently here, they got stacks. They're still trying to cram it into computers. So we're so advanced. So now we have this tech conference coming up in November, and we still have concerts in the evening, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then, this is the exciting news. This is a nice segue. At the end of November, Estonian Music Week, we've also decided to bring in Laila Bayali, and one of our top, well, actually, she would be the top jazz singer in Estonia right now. She won the award for the best artist, and her name is Kadri Vorand. And Laila Bayali, of course, won the Juno this year for the best jazz
right,
vocal
and both those
list.
singers have a lot in common because they
do.
take jazz, pop, and they really stretch out. They're
do.
real
Absolutely
musicians, right?
It's a tremendous package, and what a Christmas present for somebody, because it's right at the end of November.
Yeah.
And there's 2 shows, one in Hamilton and one in Toronto. And we're going to continue to do this every year, and I'll bring in more and more and do more collaborations with non-Estonian
So
artists.
Kadri Vorand plays with what, a trio?
She plays. She'll be coming as a duo with loops and electronics and all that kind of fun stuff.
And then Lila's a trio, so it's a very small.
Yes, it'll be an intimate show, but really interesting. And
where is it?
Well, the show in Hamilton is at the Westdale Theatre, which is a brandly newly renovated theatre, and the Toronto show is at the Royal Cinema.
On College Street.
Yep.
That's a great venue for live music.
It's fantastic. We're really looking forward to it.
What is that, 300, 400 people?
400 people,
yeah.
and we're bringing in a nice grand piano for that. So it's going to be fantastic.
So you have been doing it all, and I'm so glad you're still doing it.
I love it. I just love it. It's in my...
Richard Flohill said, I'm too old to quit now.
I relate to
living.
that. I relate to that. What else are you going to do? You can only watch so much TV, even though I love sports and stuff. I got to do music at least half the day, you know. So that's what I do.
So booking bands and working for Estonian Music Week.
Yes, that's
Love
me.
it,
And then like I said, I'm helping do the tech stuff, which is also interesting because there's music applications too that can be applied, you know, music-wise into this whole conference.
So where do people go for Estonian Music Week?
Okay, so the Estonian Music Week will be Friday night at a place called the Sandbox on Adelaide, and we'll have a really eclectic group coming from Estonia. They're called, if I get this right, Paloop, and it's a duo playing homemade instruments that they're bringing on the plane that they then tie in with loops, and then they sing about zombies and stuff like that.
That's my band. I'll be there.
Right up your alley. And,
I'll be at that one.
You'll be at that one. So very eclectic, very unique, like a lot of Estonian artists. And then Saturday night we have Estonia's top pop artist coming called Noep, Noep in English. and he will be performing at the Hideout on College, again, capacity about 350.
Right on.
And that'll be for the younger crowd.
And it's EstonianMusicWeek.com? Is that where they get it?
EstonianMusicWeek.com, correct. And that will, all this new information will be up shortly in the next week.
All right. Well, thanks for all you do, and I'm going to go see some zombie singing Estonians.
I expect to see you in the front row there. Thank you, my friend.
Right out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom Treumuth. That was wonderful. Please join me next Friday for another episode of the Jaymz Bee Podcast. Thanks to my producer, Jason J. Brown. And if you have any suggestions on who I should be interviewing on this, please contact me. JaymzBee.ca, and you can also sign up for my newsletter. I have one coming out in just a couple days, so you might want to sign up for that right now, and you'll get more details on things to do and some pretty pictures. Bye.